Hello everybody, my name's Nicola and welcome back to my channel. This is the Frugal Cottage, where we talk all things money to help you on your journey. Today's video is a slightly personal one, but also I'm hoping to give you some tips on how to improve your current living situation. Now I apologise first off for how I sound. All three of us in my household have been ill this past week, and I had hoped that I would sound better than this by now, because I really want to get this video done and I really want to get back into filming things. We'll just see how it goes. I think I've got a cough sweet in my mouth and I'm hoping I'm not going to cough too much. Obviously I'll edit all that out. But this video is about, if you're struggling at the moment, then you're absolutely not alone in that struggle. And it comes from kind of, I guess, two different prongs. The first one actually comes from me, and at the beginning of the week I just posted on Instagram stories, and if you don't follow me on Instagram then I'll leave a link below to that. And I just posted that I was really struggling at the moment with like a kind of a broken hearted emoji, and the amount of messages and responses I got to that one Instagram story, bearing in mind I have like 22,000 followers over on Instagram. Messages of support, messages with full of ideas, messages to say that they were feeling exactly the same, and just people are out there who are willing to listen. And then I was talking briefly to Jane from Frugal Queen in France, and she was like, you need to share this with your followers because it's part of your journey. And actually I sat and thought about that, and I thought, you know what, if I'm feeling like this, then chances are that there are a lot of other people who also feel like this. So, voice aside, I thought I'd do a video today basically on, if you're struggling, you're not alone, and this is what maybe might help you. These are the steps I'm taking at the moment with the three areas that I'm finding the most challenging, and hopefully that will show you that you're not on your own in this journey. And yes, things might be hard right now. It's not always going to be the case that it's going to be this hard. So the first area of life I find quite difficult at the moment is, and I've mentioned this before, is the amount I'm having to pay for gas and electric, and so therefore the heating in my house. So my budget is very small, and the amount of money that they want me to pay per month for gas and electric is such a big percentage of my overall income that I'm trying really hard to not. I don't leave lights on, I don't really have the heating on when I'm by myself. So today I'm by myself for most of the day, and I don't feel like I'll have the heating on at any point, because it seems quite pointless just for me, but also I can't afford it. Can't afford to have the heating on all day just because it's cold in the house. So I'm very mindful of that at the moment, about how expensive gas and electricity is. And so things that I've done that might, or hopefully help that, is all three of our beds have a duvet on, and then both boys have like a kind of a patchwork quilt on the top of that. I've also taken the spare duvet we have, and so I have two duvets on my bed to make sure that overnight, you know, when the temperature drops really low and your house feels really cold, that we're still nice and snugly in bed, if nowhere else. And so that the cold isn't waking anybody up because they feel cold, because they're all kind of snugly in their duvets and quilts and things like that. That's the first thing. So if you've got any blankets, anything that you can add on top of your duvet already, just to create that extra layer and keep the heat in. In fact, the other day, it was in the middle of the day, and I went and got in bed to do some work because I was much warmer sat in bed with my two duvets than I was downstairs on the sofa. And I've got a fleecy blanket on the sofa to sit in. That's another thing. So downstairs I bought the fleecy throw I've got is just from Asda. But it just offers that extra bit of warmth when you're sat in a house that's quite cold. But I was sat in bed doing work under my, with the two duvets on, because it was warmer there than it was downstairs. And then I kind of sat and thought about how strange that concept feels, but it probably will be the norm because my house is warm upstairs even without the heating on, and two duvets makes a big difference. So if you've got any extra blankets, or like I've got like a spare duvet, put them on your bed at night. It'll make a difference to how warm you feel, and also hopefully stop you waking up if you're getting cold. And In turn, that means that I'm not using as much gas and electric because I'm not having the heating on when I don't need it to. I'm really mindful of that, and things like turning the lights off, although I do keep having to remind my 2 children that we don't need all the lights on in the house all the time, just because they've been upstairs to find one of their toys means that they need to turn their light off when they come back down. It's a work in progress. Things like I'm having to time, so my 7-year-old would be in the shower for like an hour if I let him, and I've explained that no, Mummy can't afford to have the shower on for that long. We'll time it, and then you can sit, like if you put the plug in, you can then sit in the bath with warm water. He's not totally happy about that, but he's also learning that all of this stuff isn't just handed to you, and I'm trying to make it so that he understands, and my 4-year-old, but less so, that heating the water is a thing that costs. So yeah, we get water in the taps, but if you want it nice and warm like the shower is, then we have to pay for that to be heated through the pipes before it gets to the shower. So it's a bit of a learning experience as well. But I'm very conscious about the fact that my gas and electric bill is so high, and I just can't afford it on my very small single income. The second thing I'm really conscious of, and I've talked to quite a few people about this recently, both online and offline, is how much food prices are going up. And again, my food budget has been reduced quite a lot. It needs to be because there's only 3 of us. I know it's a 1 adult and 2 children. But it feels like, and I don't know if anyone else feels this, so let me know down below if you feel like this. Every time I go shopping for stuff, things are more expensive. And like, not 1 or 2 things, like everything. I was saying to my mum, so we used to get Morrison's squash, and I think it was 89p, and it's now like £1.40, and that's a really significant increase. And in fact, actually, I've been kind of thinking this week, I don't know if I can afford to shop in Morrison's anymore because their prices have gone up so much in what feels like a fairly short amount of time. But I'm really conscious of the fact that the food is going up, and I don't eat extravagantly. I don't buy lots of extra treats. We do eat quite a lot of fruit because my boys are not the biggest fan of vegetables, and I'd rather they eat fruit than say like sugary snacks and things. But I'm really conscious of that, so the things that I'm doing to get around that and so feel like it's not so much of a battle is obviously stick to my meal plan and my shopping list. And you know, I've talked about that a lot on here before, about how much I value writing a list and being able to stick to that. But also, and I don't really buy any branded stuff anyway, but definitely making sure that I'm not buying branded things. And then again, like even moving down to the basics range, because sometimes the price is really different. And yeah, they do taste different, but I can't afford to be picky. And so making sure that I am still getting the good things for the boys, like the healthy things, that I don't scrimp on what they eat, but I'm quite happy to go for the real basic cheapo stuff for me because they're more important. And so using everything I know about meal planning and shopping and stuff like that, but it's really, you can be the best person, the best meal planner, the best, like, you know, making the list, not straying from it. If things are going up in price all the time, that is totally out of your control, and there's nothing you can do about that. It's just being mindful of, do I really need this? Can I make do with something else? Maybe something that's cheaper. That's not always the case. And then I guess making do with other things or cheaper things. And I'll give an example of this. So it might seem really weird, but I would normally buy Branston's no added sugar and salt baked beans because I feel like they're healthier. However, when it's just me eating them, it doesn't really matter, so I'll get the really cheap baked beans, which are significantly low in price. However, if I was making a meal where my boys are having baked beans as well, I'd get the more expensive tin because it's healthier, if that makes any sense. So food prices and kind of the related impact of that, if you like, everything about that is not going as far as it used to. And so just make sure, can you shop somewhere else? Is there somewhere else that you could do bits of your shopping? Have you got any of those discount stores? Have a look around and see if you can make a difference that way. but that is tough. I'm finding that one tough. And I guess the third one links into all of this. It's just the general cost of living now is so much more, and so the cost of living is so kind of prominent here in the UK. And I started watching the news because every time I would watch the news it's just so depressing. There's never anything positive on there ever. And so I've stopped watching the news because we all know that life is hard right now, and we don't need people in their warm studios telling us that life is hard. I think that everybody that I speak to, whether online or offline, for the most part have noticed a real impact and increase in their everyday spending habits, and that's not going out of the norm, that's just everyday things that you need to survive. So for example, I drive my car to work, and so therefore need petrol to get to work. At some point, will the fact that I travel so far for work then become a problem because I can't afford the petrol any longer? I don't know. I try not to use my car for lots of things other than work, and sometimes the school run when it's raining, but I try not to use it unless I have to. Things like that, and even stuff like cleaning things, and I'm really conscious if something breaks in my house at the moment, I don't have any funds to have it fixed because I don't. And it's just, everybody's finding it tough right now, and you are not alone in that struggle. Find people to talk to, follow me on Instagram and send me a message. I'm always happy to listen and offer support if I'm able, and or suggestions if I've got any. But talk to people about how you feel and how hard this is, because the more people talk about it and the more people admit that it's hard, hopefully at some point we can make a difference to how hard people find it. Because sometimes all it takes is someone just to sit and listen, right? And as someone who has been through quite a lot recently, sometimes the best thing that I've had is a little message that pops up on my phone that just, again, either an online person on Instagram or a friend, just checking in and seeing if you're okay, because that makes a massive difference when life is hard. So that is my Are You Struggling at the Moment, You're Not Alone video. Thank you for getting to the end of this with me sounding like this. I do hope that it's gone. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to manage to work tomorrow, but there we go. I'll figure that one out. But thank you for watching, and like I said, you're not alone if you're finding life hard at the moment. And if you've got any suggestions and tips on how to make things easier so that other people can read them, then feel free to add them down below, because we all need to get together and support each other through this particularly challenging time in the UK. But yeah, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon.